What's up? It's Susie from Hey Grill Hey, and today I am conducting a chicken egg experiment. Did you see what I did there? It's like an experiment, but I said egg because it's chicken. Here's what we're really doing. I've got 3 chicken breasts. I'm going to smoke one regular. I'm going to marinate one and smoke it. I'm going to brine one and smoke it, and we're going to see if there's truth to what everybody's saying about brines retaining moisture and marinades infusing flavor versus just a classic seasoned smoked chicken. It's going to be a really great time, and at the end of the day, hopefully you'll leave with some more information in your barbecue tool belt to help you make better barbecue chicken breasts at home. Let's do it. Here is the setup of our chicken experiment. I've got 3 breasts that came from the same package, same store. They're all going on the same smoker, same temperature. The difference is how I am pre-treating these chicken breasts. Now, I've heard and have used brines a lot in the past to help these lean meats retain moisture. The science of a brine is that the salt solution helps infuse the chicken breast itself, not just with additional salty flavor, but also it retains more moisture during the cooking process. We are going to test that out. I'm going to make my simple basic brine, and then we're going to measure our chicken before and after cooking to see which one retains the most moisture. Now with a marinade, I hear very often that marinades pull the flavor deep into the meat particles itself, and there's some argument online among the scientific food community if that's actually true. So we're also going to do the weight measurement, but we're going to taste this one and see, do we have the flavors of my chicken marinade all the way inside the chicken? And then we have our control chicken breast, which is simply getting seasoned and smoked as is. We'll also weigh this one to compare moisture loss between all 3. So let's jump into making the brine. First up, we're going to make our brine. Now, a very simple brine ratio is 4 parts water to 1 part of your brine, which is typically salt. I like to use a mixture of salt and sugar. So I have 4 cups of water. I'm going to use 3 tablespoons of salt and 1 tablespoon of sugar. You could just go 4 tablespoons of salt. Once all the salt and sugar is in, it goes over the heat, just a medium heat until all of the salt and sugar is completely dissolved. Cool it down completely before pouring it over our chicken breast. I like to do my brining in a bag. This is a quart bag, and I made about a quart of brine, so I'm not going to use all of the brine that I prepared. That's okay. I just want to fully submerge my chicken breast. I'm going to run off the bottom of my pot. Why did it just get a funnel? You know how you know you're making a bad decision before you even make it, but you just do it anyway? I'm still just...
You gotta go fast.
I can't commit. Oh, oh my gosh. I hate this. Ah! Well, the good news is my chicken's fully submerged in my brine, and so is my table. Once your chicken is in the brine, it has to go into the refrigerator. For a single breast like this, or even if you were to do 2 or 3 or 4 breasts in one set of brine, give yourself at least 4 hours in the refrigerator. You can over brine, so I don't recommend going more than 4 hours for something like a chicken breast. Obviously, if you're doing like a whole chicken or poultry, you're going to increase that time based on weight, but 4 hours in the fridge for this chicken breast, and then we'll be ready to get it on the smoker. Next up is our marinade. Now I have the full recipe for this chicken marinade on my website in the app. We'll link to it in the video description below, or if you have a favorite chicken marinade, I'm certain that that will work. One thing that you want to look for when you are getting a marinade recipe from anywhere is that it has the right components. For a marinade to do what it's supposed to do, which is season the chicken all the way throughout, it needs to have fat, it needs to have acid, and it needs to have salt. Everything else in terms of umami flavors or aromatics are just to change the different flavor profiles of the marinade itself, but the fat, the acid, and the salt are really what's going to alter the texture and the flavor of the chicken itself. So make sure whatever marinade you're using, it has all 3 of those things. A great example is like an Italian vinaigrette or salad dressing. That's a really popular chicken marinade because it has all those components. Again, for a marinade, a minimum of 4 hours, but you can go longer. So you can't really over marinate something unless you leave it in so long that your meat actually goes bad. Typical marinades, I like to do at least 4 hours. You can do 8, you can do up to 12 hours. So overnight can be a great option sometimes. start it right before you go to bed, and then you'll be ready to cook it in the afternoon for dinner. Press out the air, give it another massage to thoroughly coat the chicken, and then it's into the refrigerator with our brine version. I've got my brine chicken, my marinated chicken, and my regular old chicken breast out of the refrigerator. These have both been in for 4 hours. I'm gonna season and weigh them so that we can get our starting weights, because remember, the goal here is, does the brining or the marinating process actually help the chicken itself retain more moisture when it's cooking? Because that is one of the claims of both of these processes. So we're about to find out. With the brined chicken and the plain chicken, I'm going to season them first with my chicken seasoning. The marinated chicken I would consider already seasoned, so that's not getting any additional seasoning. It is really interesting to see the color difference between the brined chicken and the regular chicken. The regular chicken breast is still kind of peachy. This brined chicken is very much on the pink side of things. I don't know if that has anything to do with anything. It's just an observation, I guess. You can see all the herbs and the garlicky pieces. I'm just wrapping my kitchen scale in plastic wrap so I can keep things sanitary. Cooking all of these on a pellet grill, 275. I'm gonna go straight from the scale to the grill, and I don't know how I'm keeping track of weights. I'm not writing these down. We're recording it for instructional purposes.
I'll take notes.
Todd's gonna take notes of the weights of each of our chickens, so as we put them on the grill, we'll know our starting weight. This is our marinated chicken breast first. 10.2 ounces. 0, 0. Next up, let's do our brined chicken breast next. 11.55. Now we don't know starting weight, so I don't know how much it took on, but I'm not really concerned about that. I'm just concerned about how much it loses during the cooking process. Does it hold on to it while it's cooking? Last up is our plain chicken breast. Okay, this one's clocking at 8.45. It is our smallest chicken breast, so it will probably cook a little bit quicker. That's fine. All right, chicken is off the grill. I pulled each of these at 165. Now, normally when I'm cooking at home, I'll run to 160, but where we're focusing on moisture retention and the higher things cook, the more they tend to dry out, I wanted to take it all the way up to 165 just to see where we landed. Now we're gonna do our weigh-in at the end because I wanna see how much moisture each of these held onto. We're gonna kick things off with our marinated chicken breast. Okay, we're coming in at 7.75 ounces on the marinated chicken breast. Our original weight was
10.2.
10.2. So that gives us a loss of
2.53.
Somebody's gonna put that up on the screen. I'm not doing that math. Okay, our next one is our brined chicken breast. Clocking in at 8.9 ounces. And we started at
11.55.
11.55. So that means I'm imagining a graphic here with the exact number across the screen. Our last is our plain old chicken breast with simple seasoning. And we are at 6.75 ounces. This one started at 8.45, so that gives us a difference of 1.7. Okay, so our least amount of loss was our chicken breast that was unbrined and not marinated. However, it also was the smallest volume to start. So percentage-wise, I wasn't planning on doing percentage math. Crap, I got a science real fast. Let's do this. We're gonna do percentage lost, not amount lost. 1.7. Okay, so the original divided by 0.20. 20% loss. Okay, so our fast math gives us percentage lost of each, and that's what we're gonna focus on. Our plain old chicken breast lost 20% of volume during the smoking process. Our brine chicken breast lost 22.9% of its total weight. And our marinated chicken breast lost 24% of weight by volume. So this is very interesting to me that we see the highest volume loss in the marinated, followed by the brined and the baked chicken breast. So do the marinated and the brine really retain more moisture, as is claimed by the brining and marinating process? Science and math says no, but we may feel differently when we cut into them and taste them, so let's do the taste test next. All right, now we have the weights of everything, which are interesting but not necessarily conclusive to me. It's all about how does it taste, what's the texture like, what's the mouth feel like. So we're gonna start with our control piece of chicken. That's a tasty piece of chicken. It's not stringy, it's not dry, it's not powdery, it has a really good texture to it. And honestly, still a good amount of moisture, even for taking it all the way up to 165. Next up is our brined chicken. Now, brined chicken is notorious for having a slightly bouncier texture and more moisture in the meat itself. I can tell you visually, this brined chicken does have more of that surface level moisture. I can see the droplets of moisture on the chicken breast itself. That feels significantly more juicy in my mouth. It has that beautiful texture of a brine chicken breast, but most notably, I would say, is how savory this chicken breast is. It's even the same exact seasoning, but the meat of the chicken, even if I got no seasoning on the outside, it carries that salty flavor through every single bite. This is a significantly more flavorful and juicy chicken breast than the control with my simple brine. Last up is our marinated chicken. Again, when we're talking about moisture, I feel like this one has more of that surface level juiciness than the control did. Oh, messy. So as for the marinated chicken breast, this one has probably the most surprising texture. It's incredibly tender, and that likely has to do with the acidity that we put in the marinade. We know that acidic things do break down proteins. It's not mushy necessarily, but it is very, very tender, almost fall apart in your mouth. So if you're somebody that really likes that super soft chicken texture, I think a marinade would be a great fit for you. It's not as springy and bouncy as the brine. I would say it falls somewhere in between the control and the brine when it comes to internal flavor of the chicken itself. I get all of the marinade flavor on the outside from the seasonings and the Parmesan and all of that good stuff. Internally, the flavor hasn't changed as much. It's more of a structural, textural change than having flavor all the way throughout. Okay, here's my final ranking. Are you ready? Marinade, most tender. All the flavor seems to be on the outside, delicious. Brine was my favorite. I would say this was the juiciest. It had the best texture and the most flavor throughout the entire breast. Control chicken, still juicy, still tender, still delicious, but significantly less moisture and tenderness than the other two. Now, honestly, I don't think you can go wrong with any three. If it's a quick weeknight for you and all you want to do is season and smoke a chicken breast, you're going to have great results as long as you don't overcook it and you take it to an appropriate temperature. If you have a little bit of extra time and you like that springiness of a brine and the juiciness of a brine, I think a simple brine really is a great way to go. Now, if you want to introduce a ton of different flavors and really have fun with those flavors, as well as having a melt in your mouth texture, a marinade might be a great option for you. I don't think you can go wrong truly with any three. It's going to be a personal preference thing, but even just doing the experiment gave me a ton of knowledge to work with. And I know moving forward that in my house, I will be taking the time to brine the chicken because that was my personal favorite by far. So you got to let me know in the comments below, are you team brine? Are you team marinade? Or are you team season and smoke? Because it's a busy weeknight and you got other stuff to do. I don't think there's a wrong answer here, but for me now, I'm team brine. Thanks for hanging out, you guys. We'll see you next time.